So today we're going to talk about alternative fuels you can use in SHTF. And this applies to both the backpacking camping type wood stoves as well as the wood stove and fireplace in your home. These are hickory nuts from the hickory tree. This is what they look like when they come off of the tree, and I'll show you a photo of what they look like on the tree. This is what they look like after the squirrels and the chipmunks, raccoons, possums get a hold of them. So they open them up. And in this state, they're still green, kind of like firewood. Now, once they dry for a year, they look like this. And these husks can be burnt in your various stoves. And this is a type of fuel that you don't have to cut. What you do is you just pick it up off the ground. And there are thousands of these. Most of these I just compost and use them for soil enhancement later. Now, if you're doing walnuts, what you need to keep in mind is you can do the same thing with walnut husks, but you don't want to compost the walnut husks because they have a anti-growth chemical in them to retard the growth of other plants. So the hickory nuts are okay to compost or use as a fuel in your wood stove or your camping stove. And like I said, this is what they look like once they're dried. And all you got to do is walk around with a 5-gallon bucket and pick them up. The squirrels do all the work for you and bust them open. And you just pick them up and you can put them in big totes and let them season and burn them in your wood stove. So this is an alternative fuel. This is what they look like on the tree. And these are going to fall after a while. They're pretty tightly held on the tree, so it's not easy to pull them off until they're ripe, because that shows you how much force it took to pull them off. So like I said, let them fall, let the squirrels and the raccoons eat them, break them open for you and process them, and then you just pick them up and let them dry. And like I said, if you let them dry the same length of time you let your firewood dry, then you can burn them in your wood stove. See, this is an area where you can see where a squirrel is sat here, and they take some of the hickory nuts and broke them open. Sometimes they chew through them and break them in half. Sometimes they just break them open. Sometimes they chew them up. But this is also good starter material if you let it dry. This you could shovel up. And on my farm, there are tons of these that hit the ground. So if you need a source of economy firewood you don't have to cut, maybe you're not in very good physical condition, maybe you are crippled, injured, but you could still pick this up with a bucket, whether it's a 1-gallon bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. These are free for picking up. And these, after a year, would be perfect to burn. And the IBC size tote boxes that you have on pallets are perfect for storing these. And these actually burn very hot once they are cured. So they give you a good amount of heat. But like I said, the squirrels and stuff will sit here and break them open for you and process them, no problem. So of course, when they're broke open, they dry much faster than when they're whole. So let the squirrels do their work. Now, when we're discussing these, when they're in their green state like this, you definitely do not want your dogs or other animals to eat these. I had a dog years ago, almost died from eating these, because until they have aged and turn brown and no longer green, they can be toxic to some animals. Your squirrels and your possums and raccoons are not bothered by this material. They'll just break it open, take the actual nut that's inside this husk, Now, if an animal chews the husk, they can become very ill. So we have to pick them up every year in the various pens to prevent animal illness. So keep that in mind. Please share your thoughts. We'll see you on the next video.